Great. How do we do this so it splits the screen? I don't know. Hello, everyone. And we're being joined here with Andrew Hemingway. I think we are live. So, okay. Andrew, would you like to introduce yourself to everybody? Tell us about your candidacy and running for governor and all of that.
Sure. I'm first of all really excited to be on. I'm glad we got this working, and it's always fun with technology, how things come together. But I am running for governor in the state of New Hampshire, and met Tina obviously out at Coin Congress in San Francisco, and I was there because just shortly after all of the bit license conversations and regulations were starting to be introduced, I wanted to go and to have a presence and to tell people that New Hampshire is a state where we have the opportunity to create the exact opposite situation of what's happening in New York. And to try and do that, we need a governor who understands cryptocurrency, understands the entire technology framework that's involved, around the blockchain and the potentials there, and make sure that we keep government out of the way, and to stop government from crushing innovation, which it is prone to do. So I'm running on a pro-innovation platform and pro-technology platform. We even talk about things like solar panel roadways in our discussions and things like that. So we're very forward-looking, and I think that New Hampshire is a state that has a great potential for the crypto market, and I'm running for governor to try and push that.
Well, I mean, it's exciting to have a candidate like you on board. I hear you're being called the millennial governor.
Yes, I mean, I'm the first millennial to run for governor anywhere in the country, which I think is an honor. I'm honored by that, and I hope that, in my efforts we can uphold the voice of the millennial generation. We've seen amazing things. I mean, high schoolers, college kids, sort of just randomly calling or tweeting or being like, "This is so cool." Someone from our own generation is trying to do something big, and so we're building a lot of support in that regard, and it's been very exciting and looks very good for us.
Well, I think it's exciting that you actually tweet from your own account. That's exciting in and of itself.
Yeah, and I saw in your write-up you said, at least for now, and I want to assure you that that's going to continue. So that's not something that they're going to be able to take.
Oh, that's great. They're going to say, no, you don't have time for this. And you're like, no, I'm tweeting right now as I'm doing a speech.
That's right. I actually think it's more important. Honestly, the way, I mean, I can tell you, I had a woman on Twitter who contacted me who was a sort of a TV celebrity. She was her handle is at ChrisWilliams81, and she was on Ghost Hunters on TV, and she lives here in the state, and she had just tweeted me, and she said, "Oh, I'm doing some research on Andrew Hemingway," and so I said, "Well, I'm right here. Ask any question that you want to," and so we started like about a half an hour long dialogue, which honestly has been the most productive conversation I have had anywhere on the campaign. I mean, we reached thousands of people within just a few seconds. I got a lot of great feedback from it, and that was the conversation where it was the first time I really started talking about the potentials for Bitcoin 2.0 and talking about some of the broader applications of the blockchain technology to governance. And that was the first time that I really started getting attention. And since then, I've had thousands of Bitcoin reporters and Bitcoin blogs and Bitcoin from all over the world now starting to follow and catch on. So it's been pretty amazing, and I can speak from personal experience the power of social media there.
Well, I mean, okay, so where did you first learn about Bitcoin? What's the environment like in New Hampshire in terms of transport?
Yeah, I mean, we have a very big active Bitcoin community here in New Hampshire, and for a number of years in the very beginning of this, had the most nodes per state So we have a lot of sort of some of those original nodes working in that. And so Bitcoin has been a part of sort of our tech culture here in the state for a long time. I've known about Bitcoin for probably about 4 years, sort of watching it on the periphery, kind of understanding it, the technology, and have been sort of gradually delving deeper and deeper into it. I'm a tech entrepreneur anyway, so I have sort of in my space. And when I decided to run for governor was when I really started to explore sort of the regulatory and the political legislative side of it, but also the practical applications of it in helping my campaign. I mean, I think it's just natural. A lot of my supporters use Bitcoin regularly, and so it was just a natural way for me to reach into my natural base. So, but since there's been a real change, I think, since the New York thing, because as a community, there's a lot of anti-government sentiment in sort of just the natural Bitcoin community. And there's a lot of anarchists and other things like other people with sort of an anti-government philosophy. So their idea of getting behind a political candidate sort of runs counter. It's sort of countercultural. But I think that there's been a shift in the both the maturing of the community and also the bit license regulation, because for the first time people go, whoa, government could have a real dampening effect on this. Even though we hate them, maybe we still need to be able to have a voice there. And I've seen a lot of people who were sitting sort of on the sidelines now potentially seeing a real serious threat, willing to jump in and engage in this process.
Well, I mean, Ben Lofsky, he's like the new Federal Reserve Superintendent, and that was an unelected official position, right? So it is kind of interesting to see everybody come up and, as you know, at Coin Congress, we were all talking about all of the efforts to kind of counter that the bit license and find a more middle ground for Bitcoin entrepreneurs.
Right.
So, speak to that at all, because some of us are like, okay, how can we all kind of approach this? So.
Well, I think it always helps to have number one, sort of a unified voice. It's not productive to have a number of people approaching it with a number of different proposals. It's always going to be more effective to say, here's what our proposal should look like. And I think there's also I think we should give them, especially Ben Lofsky, at least a little bit of room, because we obviously can tell from his writing that he's ignorant completely of cryptocurrency, completely unaware. And so perhaps this is more an education issue than it is anything else. And so I think that we have the opportunity, to be able to approach it from that perspective, to say, well, this is really what the regulation should look like, and here's why. What I find interesting specifically about the bit license is that, the IRS ruled that Bitcoin was property, and if the IRS is a federal ruling body and they're determining that this is considered property, then this really doesn't fall under Ben Lofsky's jurisdiction. And him treating it as currency is in direct contradiction with the IRS's ruling of it being property. And so I think that there's even some ways to perhaps look at the higher body and to use the IRS ruling to influence Ben Lofsky to scrap basically everything that they've just come up with. So I think that there's definitely some loopholes or some ways around that. And then I think that the Bitcoin community needs to recognize that there is definitely a threat, but it doesn't have to be a contentious relationship. I think that, and I've seen from my experience, that being proactive around legislation is always more effective than trying to be reactive. And I think that we need the leaders and the influencers in this community to start to speak out on behalf of candidates who understand this, on behalf of legislators who are already in Congress or running for state-level positions, who can craft from the very beginning the right kind of legislation. and that way you're supporting progress instead of trying to fight, and get something repealed and then try and get something put into place. It's just so much more work, and it's so much more contentious. And so the best way to do that is to support these people.
I mean, how would you recommend people kind of approach their local government or even other state governments to kind of say, or the candidates or the elected officials, and say, oh, can you help us out here?
Sure, and I think this is where I believe Perry Ann is running the Digital Chamber of Commerce. There's some other groups, and honestly, the work that you do, Tina, I think is very, very important. That just the level of education, talking about these issues, making sure that our elected officials, appointed officials, everyone has a better understanding of exactly what this community is, and what the ultimate sort of goal is, and where we're going, and instead of seeing Bitcoin as this threat to our survival, and it's going to undermine the dollar, and we're all going to burn. It's like it's not the situation. This is a great technology with a lot of value to our country, and I believe specifically to New Hampshire, and so starting to be proactive in educating is the #1 best thing that we could possibly do. So holding conferences where we invite elected officials to come and to participate in the community could be very, very effective, very important. And I wouldn't just invite U.S. Congress or U.S. Senate. I would be looking specifically at some of the states. And one of the things that I put forward, for instance, is I want New Hampshire to be the first state that accepts Bitcoin for payment in taxes and fees. I want to look for ways where we can implement the blockchain technology, from simple things, from the simple contract disputes, from using it in a voter ID and voter registration type of process, to like mundane things like license plate assignment, right? I mean, little things like that. Where we can make these processes so much more efficient, where we can use algorithms to cut down on time and efficiencies, all of that, we can save money. There are tremendous value, and there's nothing that is going to be more valuable than having that first sort of success story, where we as a community can say, hey, look, we saved this town X amount of money by applying this technology, or we were able to do this good thing for this community because we applied this technology. And imagine if this principle was applied to the entire country, right? That's when you start to see people really start to engage. Right now, it's very technical, and in all of the conversations that we have, even at Coin Congress, you really have to have a technical background. And even, it was funny, I talked to a lot of people at Coin Congress, and the experts, and they would go, there's this new thing, Ethereum, and I really think it's cool, but I don't totally get all of it, right? Even the experts are saying this at this point. So for us to expect non-technical people to see this technology and adopt it, we're not there yet. One of the ways that we do that is by creating stories, and I think we have to be very effective storytellers, and to do that, we've got to have some things to start to talk about, and some case studies, which are coming. I think they're coming.
Right, and especially with the smart contracts, is I guess Adam Draper's term for it. And it is fascinating to see you can actually execute different, legal actions if you're doing venture. He's like, you could actually set it up on the blockchain so you could actually give out allocated vested terms and such when the times come, and no human has to touch that or make mistakes. So that's kind of exciting.
Right. Well, and it's developing so rapidly now. Like, I'm really excited about the 2.0 stuff, because like that's the real kind of practical application type of things that really get people excited. And I think that's we're starting to see. Just, I mean, obviously we're at the very beginning of that movement, but I'm really excited about that. I've spent a lot of time talking to David Long, 500 Angels, who are using a lot of those things, really starting to push that element. So, there's some exciting things. I've talked about even, what if a state actually commissioned their own coin? Are there benefits to a state being involved in creating their own coin? I think that there's some very interesting applications that could occur. I think in the presidential election in 2016, there's opportunity for candidates to use and commission their own coin. Why wouldn't a Rand Paul, for instance, or some other more progressive person look for something? I can imagine like a Cory Booker, for instance, some of these more tech-savvy guys. What if they launched one of their own coins and did a funding round right out of the beginning, and as sort of used a crowdsourcing model to raise the funds, and then perhaps everybody participated in as the money was raised, right? What a great way to build engagement. What a great way to judge the potential success of a candidate or a campaign. Literally, you're completely changing the paradigm. You're taking the power away from a few select individuals who can give millions of dollars, and you're distributing that, decentralizing it, right? In a way which could be extremely powerful, and ultimately change the direction of our country. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, it'll be more accurate than polling, right? Because sometimes those are just estimates.
Absolutely. So I'm excited. I think that there's a lot that's going to happen, and hopefully, good things, as long as we can keep, guys like Ben Losky under control.
Well, we appreciate the regulation, but it has to be friendlier so that you could still foster innovation.
Yes.
So
yes.
That's the hard part of legislation. Is like, okay, too much red tape is a bad thing. A little bit is a good thing, but.
Right.
It is. You see the bit license evolving, or bit license evolving. Do you think the 45 days are going to be enacted? Is there hope for all of us, that kind of want to change things a bit?
Are you asking me that question?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think that as the I think the Bitcoin community needs to answer. I think that being just sort of screaming about it on social media has a limited amount of effect when it comes to sort of that role. Obviously we can rally grassroots support, and we can be building sort of armies, but if we don't ever put those armies to work in the real world, which these regulators understand, by either phone calls to their office or a real serious counter proposal, I think then we're going to be essentially quiet. And I think that we need to be looking at ways to create some real counter proposals which are pro-liberty and pro-innovation, and pushing those, and using those, and using the grassroots armies which we have to really push those and to elevate those to a higher level. That, I think, is where there's hope to be found.
Do you see that happening in New Hampshire? What do you see in your home state?
Yeah, this is the opportunity. We're the live free or die state, right? We have a libertarian, liberty streak in us. We are completely, in my opinion, opposite of what New York is. New York has been traditionally very regulated from top to bottom. They've always been sort of the high tax state, high regulation state. We are a low tax state. No income tax, no sales tax. We are definitely more freedom oriented along those lines. And as governor, we would become even more so. More pro innovation, allowing the startup community. And it's my vision, it's my dream that I become governor, and that we can make regulations so good that Bitcoin companies and venture capitalists leave New York and come to New Hampshire, and that New Hampshire be the center of the financial world going into the next century. I think that we have that opportunity today with this burgeoning currency, And I don't think that it's too lofty of a goal. I think that there's a huge opportunity for us. And I think if we do that, we would move, a majority of the startup community. I think that there's, lots and lots and lots of opportunity here, and that's what my vision is, and that's what hopefully we're going to see happen here.
And you guys could unify states that are also in line with that vision.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we would be. I mean, you need one state to start to do this the right way. The danger is that a lot of state legislatures, as they write proposals or as they make legislation, they always love to say, well, 5 other states have done it this way, so we should do it this way. Well, New York did it this way, so we should do it this way. And they a lot of them are, just kind of following along with whatever someone else has done. And there's a real danger in that if we don't have an answer. So, I think that New Hampshire could be the state where people say, well, look, this is what they're doing in New Hampshire, and it's working. And they're prospering, and so why don't we adopt the same type of principle? I think that those things can happen and should happen, but we need a right governor, and we need the right attitude leading that. So that's one of the reasons why.
We always appreciate you're running for governor, so that's
Yes.
one of the reasons why. Right? I know this lag. There's a little bit of a hiccup, I think, in this Google Hangout. So.
No problem.
But it is interesting. How big is the Bitcoin community in New Hampshire?
I don't. It's a really hard question to answer. I mean, I don't know. I would say there's probably 5 to 10,000. Probably users. How many of them are active? Probably a percentage of that, maybe 15 to 20%, something like that is probably active. So you probably have a base. And like you mentioned, we have some great startups here that are using Bitcoin, like Lamasu is a Bitcoin startup, building those ATMs. That's right here, just down the street from my office. So there's definitely a lot of that. A lot of the folks who are part of the Free State Project, which have about 10,000 members in our state, are using Bitcoin. A lot of their businesses run only on Bitcoin. We have a Bitcoin marketplace here in the state that we use both on Facebook. They've got a really active Facebook group that buys and sells and does all sorts of stuff through primarily Bitcoin. So it's burgeoning. It's a start. We have the first state rep in the country ever to take Bitcoin. The first elected official taking Bitcoin, and Mark Warden. We had one of the first restaurants to start taking Bitcoin. We've got a great Liberty bar down the road that does that. So there's a lot that's happening here. As you see the news about Bitcoin, a lot of sort of that experimental stuff does happen in New Hampshire. So I think that speaks to the community itself, and it's growing every single day. We have great events like Pork Fest where 2,000 people will come. I mean, they are absolutely coming to celebrate and to be a part of that. So it's a great thing.
I mean, it sounds amazing. Well, I'm going to have to come visit New Hampshire.
You should definitely
interview everyone.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be great. It's a great thing. Now, the end of August, we have what's called Free Coast, and we're going to be doing, there's a bunch of live music. It's a festival, but it's celebrating freedom, and a lot of it's Bitcoin oriented. A lot of there'll be a lot of talk about cryptocurrencies in general. Great bands. There'll be a pub crawl and stuff like that. It's in Portsmouth, and it's a great opportunity to come and see the Live Free Estate.
I think we're all just gonna go, hop on planes at the end of August.
Sweet.
Well, tell us. Good. I mean, what are the 4 technology companies that you founded yourself?
So I have 3. So I started with a company called Online Sports Coaching, and we did videos of professional sports coaches, and we put them online. We taught parents and volunteers how to be better coaches. We built a certification program, which was the first of its kind that we sold to recreational departments, which did background checks and did training, video training, and we were the first company to produce a iPhone application with video drills, so the coaches could watch the drills right on the field, right on their iPhones. And so we're very happy and successful with that. We were able to sell that to a company. And then I started a company called Digital Acumen, where we did, basically it was social media and political communications combination. We started out as a consulting firm, and then we built a platform which hosted the first ever all Twitter presidential debate, where we had all 6 Republican candidates for governor for president, on Twitter, all tweeting. It was really amazing. Newt Gingrich and Donald Trump and Michelle Bachmann, right? All of the Republicans on, and it was a great experience. We were able to use that platform to do that event. And now I own a company called Grassloot, L-O-O-T, Grassloot, and we are an online donation processing platform. Primarily our technology that we've built is focused around the one-click donation button. We're trying to make it easier to donate in sort of traditional currencies. And we are experimenting with some of the integrations into some of the cryptocurrencies. So it's pretty exciting.
I was just going to ask that.
Yes, no, we definitely are. We're talking a lot with GoCoin and a few of the other partners out there, on the best way, because there's still that sort of lag, I think, on the tech development side. So there's some opportunity for us. My partner just moved to San Jose, actually, to really tap into that portion. So it's good stuff. So, but my schedule to say it again.
Oh, we'll have to catch up with your partner as well in San Jose.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Really smart guy. So definitely. But I've got to get going, Tina. I really appreciate the opportunity. If folks are interested, they can visit my website at andrewhemingway.com, and we accept Bitcoin, obviously, on the website. So if you want to tip me for what we're doing here, that would be a really great thing. And we're on Twitter and Facebook. So thank you again very much for the opportunity.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, and we'd love to keep on supporting you and helping you and figuring out how we could also help all of the other candidates that are pro-Bitcoin as well.
Right on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.